The peripheral side of our mind is called the conscious mind, which is the topmost layer of our consciousness, of our mind. Deeper than the topmost layer is the subconscious part of the mind. Then deeper than that is the unconscious mind. And then after that, it is the field of creativity. It's the field of pure energy moving. And deeper than that is the emptiness, or we consider as the consciousness. So it is in different levels. And when you say mind, it has so many different functions. Perception, cognition, conceptualization. These are the main functions of the mind. It perceives things, so all the sensory system is working while the conscious mind is active. All our senses are very alert. It picks and chooses informations which are falling into the sensory system. Then it will be going into the mind. And then it tries to understand. And up till this part we call the perception. We perceive things. And then the deeper part, a little deeper part of the mind is analyzing it in comparison with the past experiences. You compare with the past experience and you try to analyze it. And after analyzing, the intellect comes into play and it makes the discrimination, judgment. It says, this is good, this is not good. It is right, it is not right. This is for knowledge formulation area. Then, all those things which we have amassed in this way, our knowledge, will be stored. All the impressions, this process, the knowledge that is synthesized, and concepts that we made out of it, or our beliefs, or our ideas that we created out of it, everything will be stored in the memory. So memory is a deeper level. Everything is there in the memory. And that is staying in the subconscious part of our mind. It's a deeper part. Unless we dig there, we will not know what is there. But when this level gets triggered, things starts to pop up and come up on the peripheral conscious level. When it appears in the conscious level, you understand that your mind is active and these thoughts are coming. This is where you are moving. All these things, if you look, you can see. So everything is coming from the memories in the form of thought. And deeper than that is the unconscious part of the mind, which is taking care of the physiological activities. The intelligence, in collaboration with this unconscious mind, is creating or managing the body functions, all the subtle functions of the body, and that we don't know what is going on there. But anyway, we only know that we have a pain there or we have a pain here, and then when the pain comes, it comes into the conscious level. So you become conscious of the pain, so you know there is some trouble. Otherwise, we will not know the function of the mind. Or else, if your heart is beating too fast, you understand that something is not okay. When your breath is changing so fast, if you are an observer, you see that something is not okay. Or if you are perspiring a lot, you will understand that there is something which is going on. Or if you get some pain, you understand that something is going on. If nothing is happening like this, the functions are going on normally, you will not get a sense of what is going on in the unconscious part of your mind, where usually our conscious mind cannot reach. When you say dropping the mind, which part of the mind we are trying to drop? Then deeper than the unconscious level is the creative field, it's the pure energy level. And that is not belonging to you or me. It is the universal energy which is flowing there, which is the deepest intelligence, which is creating the function of producing the energy in the body. So that we don't know actually. Science is studying quite a lot of things about it. And science says like this, and so we believe it is working in this way. Actually, we have no idea what is going on. In an experiential level, if you are very sharp, you will see that something is vibrating in you in the very deeper areas of your organs. Unless it is shown as an uneasiness or a pain, we may not be able to know what is going on inside. So, when thoughts are popping up from the subconscious level of the mind, from the memory, it comes up in the conscious level. Then we start to work it out, analyze it, understand it, and then if there is an inspiration to push it out into action, we get into action, we get a lot of different sensations out of it, and we gather all the sensations, we put it back to the mind, and then we analyze it again, and we understand, I put it into the memories. This is the process. And which part of the mind we are trying to drop? In yoga, when you are talking about the dropping of the mind, can you drop the creative intelligence part of your mind? It is a very subtle part of your mind, deep part of the mind. You have no control. Unless you are very, very, very sharp and having a mastery over the subtle vibrations of your field of energy, you cannot do anything about it. And then when you come to what can you do usually in the memory levels? Memories are stored there. For some reason, if you see something outside, the corresponding memory gets stimulated. What control we have it? Can we drop that memory? In the normal plan, I am asking. In the normal plan, we may not be able to do anything about the content of our consciousness which is stored in the memory. Then which part we will be able to work? Willfully. A thought is coming. So thought drives you out into action. We are naturally not in a position to even manage that. This is a normal. A plan is coming, a thought is coming, and thought is pushing us into action, and we just go for the action. We get into some results out of that. And there also we have no control. We have no command. Unless you have a control, how can you drop it? By your will. Nothing works. We say dropping the mind, getting out of the mind and all those things. When you are sleeping, it happens naturally. It indicates that there is a possibility for us actually to get into a state similar to sleep, so that you will not be affected by your memories. I am saying about the dreamless sleep. Even in the beginning of sleep or the ending of sleep, we get into dreams where activities are going on. And so we are training ourselves to get to know what is going on in the conscious mind. That is our first attempt. So how can we drop things which are there in the mind, in the peripheral level of the mind, which is the conscious mind, which is motivated by thought, and thought is coming from the memory? What can we do about it when it is coming up in the conscious mind? First of all, we have to know what is going on in the conscious mind. That's the first step. That's why we have to be aware. We have to live with awareness. Usually we are living, but we may not have the awareness to know what is going on in me, in my mind. That is the first step. Becoming aware of what is happening in the peripheral levels of your mind, which is the conscious mind. When you become aware, you see thoughts are coming from the memories, and then so many associated thoughts are coming up. There is a process which is going on, analysis, and then you make some judgments, but after that, it goes on for some time, and sometimes it goes back into the memory and stored. And sometimes it pushes you so much that you cannot remain like that. Instead, you have to operate on it. and to push you into an action plan and get some result out of it. This is the plan. So where we are trying to drop, we say we can drop the mind. When you drop the mind, what happens? But dropping the mind is not an easy thing. One need to be absolutely alert to get to the position whereby he can drop. When you understand the mind, you get a command over the mind. With the mind, we understand the mind, and you get a command over the mind itself. So your mind is actually shifting from the actor's side to the observer's side. That possibility is there in the mind. Mind can do things and it can become aware of what it is doing. This is a very special thing with human brain. In the human brain, this possibility, it can do everything, and it can also comprehend things, and it can also understand how it is comprehending. This possibility is there. So that is why in spirituality we are working there to the deepest possibility to understand how the mind is functioning. When you understand, you see all the process which we mentioned before. And this is going on. So you become very aware in every moment of your life what your mind is doing. So the mind is under surveillance. As you become the observer of your mind, means your mind becomes aware of the activities of the mind. The activities other than observation starts to slow down. Because that is our interest. What we want, that will be done. That is why we go according to our interest. Now our interest is shifting from action to observation. So as we become the observer of what is going on in the mind, our mind is slowing down the normal plan, which is analysis, synthesis, and judgments, and make concepts, beliefs, and ideas. As you are seeing it constantly, what the mind is doing, it starts to slow down, because most of the energy is going for observation, not for activity. The usual activity of comprehension, misapprehension, memory, imagination, and sleep. This is the yogic technique. As you know, you have studied yoga, and you know these are the 5 activities of the mind: comprehension, misapprehension, memory, imagination, and sleep. And these are the main functions according to the explorations done by Patanjali. In the modern psychology, we have the perception, cognition, and concept making, conceptualization. So as we become very vigilant in our observation, we will get to know what the mind is doing, and we are shifting the role from acting to observing. So the process slowly starts to recede. It starts to come down. When it starts to come down, it is equivalent to dropping the mind. So we are not dropping the creative intelligence point. We are not dropping the unconscious activities of the mind. We are also not dropping the deeper subconscious areas where our memories are kept in the beginning. We are not dropping anything there. We are dropping only the peripheral activities by your own observation. So when it slows down, you will reach a position whereby you remain as the observer, and the other activity which I mentioned or Patanjali said, the comprehension, misapprehension, memory, and all these things starts to slow down. And when it becomes very minimum, you have channelizing, you can channelize all your energy into observation. The distraction becomes lesser and lesser and lesser. When there is no distraction, then the focusing of observation alone will function, which is equivalent to dropping the conscious activities of the mind. Your conscious activities are dropped. The activities of comprehension, misapprehension, memory, imagination, and the dropping of everything, but getting into a state of ignorance, which is sleep. Because in sleep, you are not aware of anything which is going on. So, you are also dropping the ignorance there. So, we become very alert, but nothing is happening. So, you remain like that. It is equivalent to dropping the mind. Once you drop, when you become so alert and the activities are suspended for the time being, it is not dropped completely, but it is suspended. When you are staying there, are you staying in the conscious level, or can you go deeper into the deeper levels? The peripheral side of activity, the perception, cognition, or concept making process happening in the conscious mind with the help of memory, which is there in the subconscious areas, is slowing down. Thereby, the awareness alone stays there in the conscious mind. You are aware, you are not doing anything. So awareness is on, but no activity is going on. So the awareness deepens about subtle movements that is happening in the subconscious areas. So if a small movement happens in your memory, without knowing what memory is, you understand that there is something subtle is moving. You have not seen what it is. You have seen a small subtle vibration that's going on, and it may pop up like a thought. So you become so interested in, your awareness becomes so interested in understanding what it is. So you quietly stay there. You're not going to make any judgment, or you're not going to make any analysis or anything. You are keeping the alertness fully on, so that if a thought starts to come from its very inception, you will understand what's there. You don't need to come to the conscious mind to show what it is. You are going to the root of the issues. Thought is the basic issue. All the troubles, all the pain, agony, suffering, wars, everything is coming out of thought. Now you have come to the root of thought, which is there in the mind. There you see a small trigger happens there, and it starts to come up. As you are so alert, it cannot come out. It stays there. So your awareness, the conscious level, has deepened to the subconscious areas. And then you have not connected with the unconscious yet. The deeper part of the subconscious is unconscious, which is taking care of the physical functions. Physiological, not physical, physiological functions. All the chemical reactions and this and that, all the direction, millions of reactions are going on, and we have no idea about it. But we can get into the movement which is going on there. And body functions start to function in a completely different way. You are getting into an energy field, or almost getting into the field of intelligence. This field is considered as the creative field, the field of creativity. Pure energy is moving there. So when you drop the mind, you directly get in contact with the field of creativity, from where all the energy is moving on, or pushing off the memory into thought, activity, and everything. And now you are getting into the field of creativity. So when a person is staying in the field of creativity in silence, you become so potent, because you are not wasting any energy for unnecessary thinking. Thought is the problem. This we have to remember. Thought is the only problem. And now you come to the root of thought, and you are staying at the root, that the problem cannot pop up. When the problem cannot pop up, the problem stays there, slowly get pried out there with your observation. It cannot come out. The memories are with the purpose of analysis, to comparison and analyzing, to compare and analyze. Now this comparison, that function you have really cut down. So what is the purpose of the memory? The memory remains there as it is. That willful activity is slowly slowing down. For the willful activity of creating thought is not functioning anymore. So you are getting into the field of energy, and your energy is not wasted by simply creating the problem of thought, problem of thinking, problem of analysis, problem of synthesis, concept making, consequential actions, and the troubles that we face in our life. Person becomes very calm. He is not really projecting anything. He is just staying calm in the field of creativity. In the silence, in the pure energy source, he stays there. Then you feel you are a vibration, you're a warmth and a vibration, a pleasant warmth and vibration. You remain as a pleasant warmth and vibration, and you stay there. And that is the field of creativity. And if suppose some rudimentary karmas are there, some inspiration that you have held in your life, and it is not gone out of you, it is still stimulant there in your memories, this energy could be channelized into that so that it will be fructified in no time. This is Siddhi. You have gone to the level of Siddhi. It doesn't require any time for its manifestation, because all your energy is focused into the memory box so that it's so powerful that it gets into an action and fulfillment in no time. This is considered as paranormal power. It so happens that so the creativity comes out. And then the nature is actually giving all the feeding for your mind. And now the nature, you respond with the nature as a spontaneous being, that if a wind is falling on a leaf, it starts to lash. Likewise, you are just moving in the field of nature without having any particular interest or intention to do something for yourself. And as soon as such an interest comes, you will understand that it's a trouble. You suffer it. Then after some suffering, you will realize that this is off-track traveling. This I cannot do. Then it will be gone. That realization, when it comes, that's gone. So you get into the field, the creative intelligence, the field of creative intelligence, and there you rest. And when you rest there, as you don't have any further actions to do or any special inspiration to do, because you have finished with almost everything. So what will happen at that time? You enter into absolute calmness, which is beyond the field of creative intelligence, which is the absolute silence, which in the Indian school they say as Brahman or consciousness. And then your karmas are finished. Then from the question, I can understand that there is a feeling to do things. This is coming from the karmic connection. And so far that bond is there, you have to do. One has to do it and fix it and finish it. You cannot have any escape from that. So that is why the question. If I drop the mind, what will happen? If I die, what will happen? Nothing is going to happen. I simply die and the world continues. If I cannot fulfill things, what will happen? Somebody else will do it. So there comes the question of ownership. I want to do it. This is there for all human beings. I want to do it. It should happen in my time, otherwise it will be trouble for everybody. And these are all the ownership that we create and we keep and we hold on it. We like it. And so far we are holding all these things. This is the base, the rudimentary karma, resting in the memory. And because it is there, we have this question. If the mind is dropped, what will I do? Can I do things? Can I create things? Or can I fulfill my desires? So we take ownership of it and we go on working on it, creating troubles for ourselves. The other thing is, The nature, you feel that you are part and parcel of the nature. Nature knows what to do, and you surrender to the nature, and nature takes care of. You don't have ownership, and everything will work in the same way, or maybe in a beautiful way without strain. You understand why the rain is coming? We cannot create rain. Rain is coming. From the water bodies, water gets heated up by the sun and it goes, it flies everywhere, kilometers after kilometers. A tremendous force, then it gets actually condensed and it comes down the ground. When it percolates into the ground, it nourishes the ground, the seed will germinate, it gives fruit. We can plant some seeds. And by planting the seed, if you start to feel that the seed belongs to me and the tree belongs to me, you are inviting yourself into a field of thinking. Thereby, the suffering starts. This is how it is happening. We create the complexities of life. Then there comes a question, if everybody is like that, how is it going to happen? The world was there before humans. The world will continue. The human world, how is it going to be? The human world. Humans are also basically part of nature, a thinking animal having troubles, and the nature is taking care of everything. And you cannot see that the nature is taking care of. You cannot create rain. You cannot create sunlight. You cannot create wind. You cannot do anything. You cannot even deal with a small virus. And then you realize that you become part of the nature and whatever is happening is happening. And then you become very peaceful. And you live in the nature as part of the, as nature is not part, as nature itself. And then when your time finishes, you disintegrate with the nature. And we lost the beauty of surrendering and the beauty of living as part and parcel of the nature. And then we took ownership of everything, not only our own thing, your body, but you start to take care of all the rest of the world affairs as part of your life, and you become very egoistic and you feel without you, nothing is going to work out. It will work. So dropping the mind, from coming back to the question, dropping the mind is possible by getting absolutely alert of what is going on in the conscious part of your mind. There the thoughts are coming and bursting into action. When you become very vigilant and an observant, it slowly starts to receive the activities there. And then the activities will be going on in the subconscious areas. That means your conscious level deepens into the subconscious and you understand what is going on there. And then it may deepen further into the unconscious areas, and when it deepens there, you get into the field of creativity, energy, and then from there you melt down into the absolute calmness. So this possibility is there. So dropping the mind is dropping basically the conscious operations of the mind. The rest of the things will follow.